Start to get comfortable and, stack blankets up if you want. Let yourself get comfortable for your hips. And close your eyes and just start to ease your way into feeling your breath now. And if it's been quite a long time since you've been to yoga, just take it really easy. Really let yourself just gradually get back into it and don't force anything. So as you lengthen up and you watch your breath coming in and going out through your nose, feel that sense of space in your spine. And feel the breath coming into your belly, feeling the belly just expand a little bit when you breathe in. If you're comfortable to come into deeper breaths, you can start in the belly and rise up through your ribs to your chest if you can. Good. And then just start to move a little bit with the breath. Let your exhales bring you forward a little bit and your inhales bring you back up so that you just feel that gentle kind of rocking, but the breath is carrying you forward and back. Take your time. Just enjoy feeling that movement with your breath, starting to allow the breath to move you, really. And the next time you come back upright, go ahead and stay there. And let your arms come on out beside you. So if you're on the floor, your fingertips can lightly touch the ground. Let yourself lengthen up. And we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll just reverse the arms. Keep the hands together, inhaling up through the midline. And on the exhale, opening the arms on back out and down. Good. And from here, inhale your arms straight out from your shoulders, flex your hands, and then bend your elbows. Bring your hands in towards your shoulders. And when you exhale, press into the hands and press into your feet a little bit too. Feel how that engages your belly. So letting the hands come in again towards your shoulders, and let yourself exhale, press out into the hands, press into your feet a little bit too. And then go ahead and let your hands circle around. You can do loose fists if that feels better, or keep your hands open. There's a kind of a different feeling when you do each one of those. And then stop and reverse, go the other direction. Again, you may decide to kind of try to open a little bit and do little fists a little bit. Let it feel good to feel those wrists and your fingers. And then go ahead and let your palms end up facing down. You're reaching out through your fingertips here now. And then we're going to rise the arms up higher into a V shape or a Y shape. Turn your palms to face each other. Pinkies come inward just a little bit more. One more breath there. And then release and let your arms come on down beside you. Good. And if you're on the floor, stretch your left leg out. If you're in your chair, we're going to try crossing. If you can't do your ankle above your knee, you can cross ankle at ankle, right? And if you're on the floor, you can always cross lower down below your knee. And from here, let's come a little bit forward. So let yourself just find that sense of your low back coming forward. It may not be far. You may be more upright and just kind of think about coming forward, right? If your hip allows you to come farther forward, do. And that really just depends on how you're built. You can press your foot into your hand a little bit if you choose to, just to feel that little deeper engagement up into the hip. Good. One more breath here. And then we're going to come back up. We're going to take a nice inhale once we're sitting tall. And as we exhale, we're going to twist towards our right. So let yourself come on around into that twist and lengthen up through the top of your head here now. Keep flexing your right foot so you are engaged up into the hip there. Just wake up the spine a little bit. Draw your sitting bones down towards whatever you're sitting on there. One more inhale. And as you exhale, come back through center. We're going to go all the way, though, around into the other direction to twist the other way. So just lengthening up there. Let yourself enjoy. One more breath. And then make your way on back again into center. We're going to switch our legs. So take your time. Let yourself again. It depends on you whether you even want to cross. If you're on the floor and you need to put your foot to the inside of your leg, do, or to be lower, do. And then again, think of coming a little bit forward. So again, it might not be much. And in fact, you might be more upright and it might be just enough to cross, do that figure four, or you may decide you want to come a little forward. And again, if you want to put your hand on your foot, you can press the ball of your foot into your hand and feel that sense of engaging up into your hip there. Good. One more breath here. And as we come on back up to the top, nice inhale here. And on the exhale, we'll twist to our left. So bring yourself on around and lengthen up again through the top of your head and feel your sitting bones drawing down. Keep flexing that foot. Let yourself just enjoy feeling that engagement up into the hip there. One more inhale. And as you exhale, come on back around through center. We're going to go in the other direction. So just letting that spine wake up here now. Feeling that nice, easy twist in the middle of your back. Good. One more breath. And as you exhale, come on back around into center. And let's uncross and stretch our legs out. So whether you're in your chair or on the floor, let your legs be long here. And then circle your feet around. And you can do opposite directions if that feels better to you. Let yourself stop when you're ready in reverse directions too. And you can do that as many times as you want. You can just go back and forth. You can keep circling longer in one direction. Good. And then flex and point your feet just a few times just to really feel that sense of being able to stretch out the tops of your feet when you point them, and feel how the undersides of your legs, really engage when you flex your toes back. And then we're going to bring our legs on down. We're going to come around towards hands and knees. So if you're on the floor and you know you don't want to be on your knees, feel free to use a blanket. And of course, you're more than welcome to use fists instead of coming onto your flat hands. You're more than welcome to let yourself come down to forearms if you don't want to be on your hands at all, to move through your cat-cow. So take your time. Let it feel really easy. Stop when you feel like stopping. If you want to stay in your cat or your cow and just stay for a breath or two without moving, you can. Or you can continuously flow. But it's such a great feeling to wake up your spine. Just imagine that your head is a part of your spine. So when you flow up to the top of the spine, just let the head keep on going like it's part of your spine. Good. We'll finish off the one that we're on. And we'll come back to a more neutral spine. Now, those of you who are on the floor are going to just send your right foot behind you on the floor. Curl your toes under. In the chair, we're going to take a little mini lunge, a real short lunge, okay? So you're thinking about waking up the back of your leg, whether it's, more into your calf or behind your knee. If you're on the floor, you're just reaching into that inner heel, keeping that left knee down. Good, and then we're going to switch legs. So again, if you're in the chair, just make it a real short little lunge. If you're on the floor, just send those toes back and reach into your inner heel. Wake up the back of the leg there. Good. We're going to switch again. This time we'll go into a little bit more of a lunge. So this time you guys are going to go ahead and bring your left foot forward and your right foot back and come up into your full lunge. So if you're on the blocks or the floor, remember as you start to adjust into your lunge, get really comfortable with the height you are, right? So go up higher if you need to, go down lower if that feels better. Take your time, feel your hips a little bit more now. Press the feet gently away from each other. Good, and we're going to switch legs again. So bringing that right foot forward, the left foot back. And again, whatever height you like to be with your hands, if you can press those feet away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet do. Good, and then let's step forward and come on into standing forward bend. Feet, hips distance apart and parallel. Be mindful, use whatever support you need. And make sure you're not putting too much pressure into your back. So if you need to be up higher, elbows above the knees, hands on the chair, hands on the blocks. Let your head feel really heavy if you can. So you enjoy feeling that release as you just let your head hang. And if that puts too much into your back, don't do it. And then just breathe. Easy, full, deep breaths. Following your breath all the way in and all the way out. Good. One more breath. And we'll let our hands now come on up to our hips and bend our knees and rise on up to standing. And let's inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring the hands right together in front of our chest. And take your time. If you need to look at your feet or adjust your mountain pose at all, do. Get yourself to where you feel as equal as you can between your feet. And then let your hands come back to meet in front of your chest if you let them come away. Spread the fingers out a little bit. And just, whether your eyes are open or closed, let yourself look out like you're looking out towards the horizon. And start to feel that alignment of your pelvis, right? So that you feel the tailbone reaching down towards between your heels. Not tucking it up under you. There's a little engagement in the belly. And then let yourself bring your awareness to your hands for a second and separate your pointer fingers, bringing them away from each other a little bit. And on your next exhale, let them reconnect. So you just really softly bring the fingers back together and be aware of that connection. And then go to your middle fingers. Let them come apart a little bit. And on your next exhale, let them come back together and really be aware of connecting through the whole finger, right? And same thing on your ring fingers, away from each other a little bit. And on your next exhale, let them come back together. And now go to your pinky fingers a little bit, separating. And on your next exhale, let them come back together. And now your thumbs are going to come a little bit apart. And on your exhale, let them come back together. And let yourself just enjoy feeling the fingers and whatever part of your palms are touching. And now bring your awareness to your feet in the ground. Bend your knees a tiny little bit. Press like you're pushing the floor away from you with your feet. Feel how that engages your thighs. And as we unfold our arms on down beside us, we're going to inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, we'll bend our knees, come forward into that standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that nice, long, flat back, tabletop back if you can. And we'll step the right foot back and come into lunge. And draw your shoulders down. Let yourself feel as you press your feet away from each other. Feel that engagement in your belly and your low back and your hips. And we'll come into a downward facing dog pose from here. So making your way back into down dog. Take your time. Bend your knees if you need to. Walk your dog if that feels even better. So first down dog, maybe for quite a while for some of you. So just be mindful. Let it feel really like you're really yawning with your whole body. You feel your whole body in dog. And then we'll come on out towards a plank. And you just take your time. You don't have to do a full plank. You know that. You can put down your knees. You can go onto your forearms. If you like to do little push-ups, you can bend your elbows in towards your ribs just a little bit. You don't have to do full push-ups. And then we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose. And from here, we'll bring our right foot forward to come into lunge. And you know, if you need to put your left knee or both knees down to get there, do. And we'll come on back into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. And again, be mindful. I know a lot of you like to hold your elbows. It feels good to you. If it does, go right ahead if you want to feel that full weight. If not, support however you need. And then just enjoy feeling the ribs expand as you inhale. Letting go through your face, your jaw. And then we'll let our hands rise on back up to our hips, bend our knees, and come on up to standing. We're going to inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. Let's unfold our arms on down and inhale our right arm all the way out and up overhead. See if you can bend your elbow. And you know, I know it's very different for everybody's shoulder. Wherever your hand comes, let it go where it can. And then just stretch the arm back long again, and we're going to come over into side stretch, breathing into that right side. Now really feel your right foot pressing into the floor. So you really feel that pressure down into the foot and feel that sense of space between the ribs on the right side of the body. And then we'll rise on back up, lower that arm on down, and we're going to inhale the left arm all the way out and up. So again, as you come over into that side stretch, really press in more to your left foot a little bit. And feel that whole engagement all the way through that left side of the body, breathing into the left side. Good, and then we'll come on back up to the top. We're going to lower our arms down. Let's inhale the arms forward and up. Now we're going to make a big circle. See if you can bring the arms down the back as you exhale. And then we're going to reverse. Reach back first. Inhaling up and over the top. Exhaling as the arms come forward and back down beside you. And then we'll inhale the arms out and up overhead like wings. And as we exhale, bend our knees and come forward again to that standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that long, flat back. Again, hands can be where you like. Your legs, your chair, your blocks. This time, left foot comes back to lunge. Draw those shoulders down now. Press the feet away from each other. Inhale. And exhale into a downward facing dog pose. So again, be mindful. Walk if you want to. Bend both your knees if it feels better. Think about just softly hugging your elbows a little bit towards each other so you feel all the way up into your shoulders. It's this kind of hollowing sensation really in your armpits. And on the next inhale, we'll come out towards that plank. Again, it can be a half plank. It can be a forearm plank. You can bend your elbows if you want. You can do push-ups a little bit, or maybe just stay in your plank and find that core strength. That's up to you. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog pose. And from here, the left foot will come forward to come into lunge. And again, you can put your knee or knees down to get there. You can come up and back into the lunge. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend again. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. And then nice, easy breaths. Feel the ribs expanding in all directions when you inhale. If you can just let go through your jaw, all around your mouth. Nice, and from here we'll bring our hands right back up to our hips, bend our knees and rise straight up to standing. Inhale the arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's sit back into a little chair pose. Let your hips go back, your torso come a little forward. And you know, it might be where you're up pretty high, like this. You don't have to go low to be in a chair pose. You're going to feel your thighs. If you want to go lower, you can shift a little lower, let the hips go back a little further. Let yourself shift your weight a little more to your heels. Just be mindful, enjoy feeling those thighs engaging. Good. One more breath. And then we'll come on back up and inhale the hands right on up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms like wings as you come into your standing forward bend. And on your next inhale, find that nice long flat back. And we're going to come into a down dog from here. So you walk your way back into dog with your hands whatever height you like. Remember, if you're using the blocks, be careful, they can be tippy. Let yourself enjoy feeling that length back through your sitting bones. Good. And on your next inhale, come on out towards a plank. And it is optional to do any kind of back bend here. You can stay in plank. You can come through for an up dog or go down and do a little Sphinx Pose if you want on your forearms. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog pose. And again, be mindful, walk, bend your knees, let yourself turn your head side to side if that feels good. Good. And then we're going to do that same thing. We're going to come on out towards a plank. Again, it is totally optional to add a back bend here. You don't have to. You can stay in plank. You can move into any kind of back bend that you want or not. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog pose. And from here, let's bring our right foot forward to come into lunge. However you need to get there. And then we'll come right back again into standing forward bend. So check your feet out. Just make sure you're not uneven in your feet so that you don't have like one foot turned out or in more than the other. And then again, just let yourself release wherever you can be, where you're comfortable. Feel your sitting bones over your heels. Nice, full, deep breaths. And see if you can let your inhales and exhales come pretty close to the same length. You can count when you breathe in. Think of reaching that same count or close to it when you breathe out. Good, so one more breath here. And then from here, we'll let our hands come on up to our hips, bend our knees, rise on up to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And as you exhale your hands down, let yourself imagine the top of the head getting up higher towards the ceiling so you have more space in your spine. And take your time coming into mountain. Remember, I love closing my eyes in mountain pose, but if you get dizzy at all or you feel much better to keep your eyes open, just make sure you're not looking down and rounding into your upper back, but instead you're bringing your gaze forward and out. And then just breathe. Imagine for a second that when you inhale, the breath is coming up the front of your body, over the top of your head, and when you exhale, it's coming down the back of your body. And then it just comes under your feet. When you inhale and comes back up the top, and exhale comes down the back of the body. It evens you out if you think about your breath that way. Balances you, really. And then we'll go ahead and let our arms come on down beside us. Good. Shake out a little bit. Move around if you need to. And we're going to come into some warrior. So I'm going to turn my chair around and have your blocks handy here. We're going to come into warrior 2 first. So we'll step our right foot back and let ourselves get that length of stance where we feel good to be, right? Sometimes shorter is better. Bend that left knee no farther forward than your ankle there, and get that right foot just the angle that feels really good to you, about parallel to the back edge. And then from here, just let yourself start to float your arms up. Let them come a little higher than your shoulders, right? Let your shoulders melt down. Reach out through your fingertips. Let your shoulders melt down a little bit. And then go ahead and lower the arms on down so you're looking out over the top of that left hand comfortably. Reaching back through the right fingertips, forward through the left. Feel the feet on the floor equally so that you press the feet away from each other and you can feel your hips engaging. Feel that sense of really lengthening up through the top of your head. One more breath. And let's put our right hand on our right hip. We're going to straighten the left leg out. Both legs are straight. And we're going to bring the left hand down for triangle pose. So maybe you want to just use your chair, the back of your chair. Maybe you want to go down your leg a little bit. Maybe you even want to put your hand on a block or the seat of your chair. Stay here for a second. Let your right shoulder drop towards the ceiling. And then you decide if your right arm wants to come up, straight up from your shoulder, up towards the ceiling. Just enjoy. Feel the thighs lifting up towards the hips so you're really engaging your legs. You're engaging all the muscles around your knees. Feeling that length through the torso. Good. One more breath. Beautiful. We're going to bend the left knee and come back to Warrior Two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. And then we'll let our hands come down and we're going to turn our feet more parallel for a wide-legged forward bend. So I know a lot of you like blocks. You can grab your blocks as you come forward, or you can bring your hands down to the floor if you'd rather. But take your time. Kind of start to situate yourself, bending a knee at a time so that you feel comfortable in the width of your stance here now. And you know if those bends don't feel good, don't do them. And then make your way back into center and feel the feet in the floor. Bend your knees just a little bit, right? And kind of press your feet away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer. And feel your inner thighs melting their way behind you a little bit. And then just take your time here. Be easy. If you feel like to stay in this pose, you want to stack some blocks up and get out of your hands and put your forearms on blocks. Maybe you feel better just to go ahead and fold forward. Just be really mindful of what feels good to you. Coming to that breath again, following the breath all the way in and out. And see if you can, for a few breaths now, bring your awareness to those spaces between your breaths. So when you inhale, you're going to feel this little space before you exhale. And when you exhale, you're going to feel that little space, that little pause before you inhale. And you're not holding your breath, right? It's just an awareness of the end of the inhale and the end of the exhale. So one more nice full deep breath all the way in and all the way out. And when you're ready to come up, just take your time and be mindful, right? If you're dizzy at all, you know, if you need to adjust your stance before you come up, do. And when you're ready to walk around, move through your feet however you need to, right? We're going to come to the other side. So this time it'll be the left foot that steps back. Again, how far back you step with your left foot. Maybe it's 1.5 feet, maybe it's 2 feet, maybe it's 3 feet or 4 feet, right? Just be mindful when you bend that front knee. Make sure it's going out, not beyond your ankle, and you're not coming inward with that knee. And then again, arms are going to come up higher than your shoulders and let your shoulders melt down. Really, in fact, if it helps to kind of lift your shoulders up a little bit and then almost like you're shrugging your shoulders, right? And then letting them come down again. So that when you lower the arms out, straight out from your shoulders, and you look out over the top of that right hand, it feels just right. Reaching back through the left fingertips and forward through the right, feeling the shoulders soften down. And pressing your feet away from each other. There are your hips. Feeling that strength and power of your Warrior Two. And left hand is going to come on down to our hip. We're going to straighten the right knee out and bring the right hand down for triangle pose. Keep your left hand on your hip for a second. Find that length of your torso out over that front leg and feel your thighs lifting upward. It's like you're trying to make space in your knees. You can add the left arm straight up from your shoulder or not. So feel that sense again of extending your torso out over that front leg. It's not about how low you go. And just enjoy. Feeling the legs working, feeling the length of the spine all the way out through the top of your head. We're going to bend the right knee. We're going to come on back into Warrior Two, pressing those feet away from each other as we go. And hands are going to come down. And again, we're going to come into that wide-legged forward bend. So adjusting yourself and coming on forward. Take your time, use whatever support you want underneath your hands. Once you get there, if you need to adjust how wide your feet are, do. And you can bend a knee at a time, of course, anytime. We come into the pose if that feels good. And then get evened out, and let's walk our hands over to the right, or maybe you just want to shift your blocks some to the right. That depends on you. Go as far as you choose. Now, once you get to where you're going to stay, feel your left foot pressing a little away from the midline. So you're like kind of pushing it away from you a little bit, and it feels a little deeper into the inside of the leg. And then come back through center, and we'll go the other side. So once you get as far as you want to go, feel the right foot pressing a little more away from you. Good. And then come on back into center. And whether you're on blocks or on the floor with your hands, let your back get long and your hands be right under your shoulders, right? So you don't want them way out and you don't want them way back. You want your hands right under your shoulders and your flat back. And we'll bring our right hand on up to our right hip. We're going to roll that right shoulder up, put our hand flat down if you can onto your sacrum. If you like to stretch your right arm up, go for it. Just be mindful. Press the feet away from each other. Feel the inner thighs melting behind you. And then we'll bring that right hand on back down, and we're going to bring the left hand up and come to that other side. Rolling the shoulder up, hand down if you can, onto your sacrum. Finding the twist in the middle of your back. If you like to stretch your left arm up, you can. Keep pressing those feet away from each other. Let yourself enjoy finding that length through the top of the head. And then we'll come on back down again. And adjust yourself. If you need to move around a little bit more, do, right? If you're like, well, I want to be different than the way I was when we came forward on the other side, you can try something different, right? Let yourself maybe adjust to use the blocks in a different way. Use them under your head or your forearms, or let yourself, maybe some of you want to hold your ankles. Or bring your hands between your feet. So once you kind of feel like, oh, well, this feels good, just be easy here with the upper body. So you're trying to just release completely in the upper body. Obviously, you have to engage to stand up there in the lower body, but you don't want to feel any kind of discomfort. And you want to just watch the breath fully and deeply again. And let your awareness stay on your breath. If counting your breath helps, do. Count 1 when you inhale, 2 when you exhale, 3 when you inhale. If that helps you to keep your mind focused. When you feel ready to rise up to standing, be mindful how you come, right? So you can bend your knees, you can bring your feet closer together if you need before you come up. And then when you're ready, just move around a little bit through your feet and your ankles. Good, and from here, if you're using your chair, you might want to turn the seat of it around to face you. And for sure, if you don't have your chair, get your blocks and have your blocks forward. We're going to bring our hands down to either the highest height of the blocks, or to the seat of the chair, okay? And we're going to step our right foot back and come into lunge. So a nice lunge here. Kind of depends on you how long your lunge is. And then let your left hand come on up to your left hip and roll that shoulder up and come into twist here in your lunge. So it's that same twist. You're trying to stay pretty level at your hips. The twist is in the middle of your back. You can stretch your arm up here too if you want. Lengthen out through the top of your head. One more breath. And then bring your hand on back down. And we're going to come into pyramid pose now, straightening the front leg out and bringing the right heel down to the floor. Turned inward just a little bit. So that back foot is usually 20 or 30 degrees turned out. Thighs are lifting up towards the hips. You know, don't overdo. You can stay up higher. You can go lower if you want. That's totally up to you. If you like to bring your hands lower or higher. And feel the thighs lifting up towards the hips. Getting into the backs of the legs, but feeling as equal as you can between your legs. Now, some people feel this a lot more in the front leg, and some people feel it a lot more in the back leg, right? There's no right or wrong. Good. So one more breath here. And then we're going to bend the front knee, step that right foot forward, and right away step your left foot back and come into lunge on the other side. So take your time, find your lunge. Now the heel is reaching directly behind your foot. Doesn't matter how long of a stance. And we'll bring our right hand up to our right hip and roll that shoulder up, and we're coming into that twist. So take your time. Think of, if you want to stretch your arm up, of course you can. Think of lengthening all the way through the body here, out through the top of the head, and back through that inner left heel. Good. We're going to put our hand back down to lunge here, and we're going to come into that pyramid pose, straightening that right leg out, putting the left heel down to the mat. Remember, there's a slight turnout. And if you need to separate your feet a little wider, like you're on narrow railroad tracks, do. You know, you want to be comfortable up into your hips. It's not important how long your stance is. Some of you might want to come lower down with your hands. Some of you might not, right? So be nice to your legs, especially if you haven't been using them much for stretching in the last couple of weeks. Just give them time to open up there. Good. One more breath. And then we'll bend that front knee. We're going to step forward and get our feet right underneath us. And now from here, let your knees bend. Bring your hands to your hips and come on up to standing. We're going to inhale our arms out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And from here, bring your arms out into a T position. Let your palms face down. And then bring your right arm on top of your left. Give yourself a hug. Let yourself release your elbows down. And then shift into that little chair pose. Doesn't have to be deep. Your hips shift back. Your torso comes a little forward. You can go deeper if you want. That's up to you how much you want to feel in your legs. And you can stay right here. I mean, if that feels great in your shoulders, stay there. If you like going towards a half eagle or eagle wrap, you can. You can send the backs of the hands towards each other. You can bring the left fingers into the right palm if you like. Thumbs more to the midline, coming into that little twist even, that final little extra, added extra. One more breath. Press into your feet, rise on up. And then we'll just release our arms on down beside us and float the arms up and out into that T position again. Reach out through the fingertips. Feel the feet in the floor. And we're going to bring the left arm on top of the right. Give yourself that hug. Find a place that feels really good. And then when you shift into that chair pose and you shift back a little with your hips, sometimes just staying right here feels the best, right? You can feel that release between the shoulder blades on the back. And if you want to stay there, do. If you want to send the backs of the hands towards each other or put your right fingers into your left palm, let the thumbs come to the midline. That's, for some people, Too much for some people, like it feels less. We're all built so differently. It's kind of amazing. That's why yoga poses feel so differently, and everybody has their favorite ones. We're going to rise on back up from there, and then release our arms on down beside us. And let's inhale the arms out and all the way up overhead. On the exhale, let your hands come right down to be in front of your chest. Clasp your hands now and send your palms outward so that you try not to round forward, right? Think of your chest coming forward. And then let the hands start to float up higher. It's kind of up to you how high you go. You know, go slowly and let yourself, when you get to that spot where you're like, okay, that's as much as my shoulders are going to do, stay there. And just breathe. Nice. And then just bend your elbows and bring your hands to be right at the back of your head. Press the back of your head gently into your hands. Feel your feet in the floor too. Make sure you're not tucking your tailbone forward. Really just enjoy feeling that engagement in the belly and the low back and the hips. And then we're going to release our arms on down beside us and let your head tilt to the right, your right ear come towards your right shoulder. And then from there, just trail your left hand up the side of your body, up the left side by your shoulder, by your ear, and come into side stretch here. Now, some of you might feel good to do this, to shift your hips a little more into that left leg, a little more. If not, don't do it. Especially if it bothers your knee, don't do it. It just increases the side stretch a little bit. And then come all the way back up to the top, lower that arm down, tilt your head the other way, left ear towards the left shoulder, feel that nice release. And now that right hand is just going to just slither its way up the side by your ear, reach into that long arm, let yourself breathe into the side body there. And again, if you like to shift your hips a little more to the right, you can. You know, and you can bend your knees, that's fine. Just let yourself be where you can. And then we'll come on back up. We're going to lower our arm on down and just come into your mountain pose for a couple of breaths here. Let yourself be easy. Good, feeling fairly balanced, equal between the sides of your body and the front and the back of your body. And then we'll come on down with our hands, shake out a little bit. And let's come into either chair is still faced this way. Your hands can again come either to the seat of your chair or to your block's highest height. And we're going to bring our feet underneath our hips and let your feet get really pretty close together. Maybe not quite touching, because think about what's going to happen when you bring your right foot off the floor and you put all your weight onto your left foot, right? So if you get that foot up like that, and you just bend your knees and you do that and it doesn't feel right, just put your foot back down, adjust so that you feel like your hands might need to be in a different place too. They might need to be a little wider. Let yourself get to where you can stand on that left leg. And then you can decide, reaching into Warrior 3 with the toes facing down, whether you want to keep the leg low or you want the leg to go parallel to the floor. And you can decide to bring in your left hand, maybe up to your thigh. Feels good. If it doesn't, don't do it. Take one more breath there, just to really feel the strength of that leg. And then put your hand, if it's up, and your foot down. Bend both your knees a little bit. Let yourself release your hips there. And now we're going to do the other foot up. Left foot comes up. So again, if you don't feel like you have hands or foot in the right place, readjust. And Warrior 3, turning the toes down. Let yourself stay there for a breath or two. Again, it doesn't have to be a high leg. It can be low. You can bring your right hand up to your thigh if you want. One more breath there. Good, and then put your hand and your foot back down. Bend both your knees again a little bit. We're going to do this again, but we're going to move a little bit, right? So now we're going to pick our right foot up, and we're going to extend the leg back long. And then we're going to bend both our knees and bring our knees side by side. So go ahead and look at your knees, kind of round your back a little bit. And then when you inhale, come back to that Warrior 3 again. So exhale, bring the knees in, they bend. You look at your knees a little. And then inhale and stretch back. One more time. Exhale, draw drawing that knee in. And yes, this is really work. And then inhale, stretch back into 3. And then bring that right foot down and take your time, take a little break. We're going to do the other side. And if you know this isn't good for you, don't do it. So picking the foot up and then extending back into warrior 3. And now on your next exhale, bring the knees side by side. You can look at them. And as you inhale, stretch back again into that long leg. And again, exhale, bringing the knees in. And inhale, stretching back. And then one more time, exhale, bring those knees side by side. And inhale, stretch them back. And we're going to bring the foot down. We're going to separate our feet wider. You can go all the way to the edges of your mat if you want. And then bend your knees. You might want to put your elbows above your knees, right? Some of you might want to squat all the way down. So if that's what your body is telling you to do, go for it. If you feel better to stay up because your knees, you know that your knees don't go into those full squats. Don't do them. Doesn't that feel good to move again? We're going to come on back up and take your time. We're going to come down onto our bellies on the floor. So you can move your chair off to the side. And also, probably, I don't know about you all, but I'm going to get back to normal eating routines myself, which might also help. So come on down with your forehead onto your hands. Stack your hands up. And let yourself bend your knees. Let your feet circle around, right? So however you want to do your own little foot dance back there, do it. It can be, you know, anything that feels good. You can let your legs go side to side, the lower legs, or just move through your feet. Good. And then come on back to long legs again. Let yourself point your feet so you're on the tops of your toes. And let's come on up onto our forearms and do a little Sphinx pose. And remember, you can stay lower. You can bring your elbows more towards your waist, or you can bring your elbows more underneath your shoulders. Engage the belly a little bit. Let yourself just enjoy finding that bit of a back bend here. Engage the belly. Protects your back, right? If you zip up your low belly, it'll keep your low back from getting too much. Good. And then let yourself shift onto your left forearm and come on up to a little bit of a side plank. So now this left hand kind of aims towards the right front corner of your mat a little bit. And this might be enough. Now some of you might feel really good to stretch the top leg out and reach your right arm like this overhead so you have this long line. And you don't want to drop into this shoulder, right? You're pressing into the mat with your forearm. So you can stay there and let yourself feel good lengthening through there. And that's a really nice side plank variation. And then we'll come on back down and let's go to the other side. So again, you get your elbow pretty much under your shoulder. This hand kind of reaches towards the corner of the mat there, the left corner. And then again, right here, you don't want to drop. You're engaging, pressing. You're using these muscles that come underneath your arm, right? Trying to not tense. I mean, you're using these muscles, but you don't want to overdo. And then again, you can just stretch the top leg out and reach, if you want, long through that side of the body. And also, I mean, I don't know, you feel your belly stretching too? It's a really nice little side plank variation pose. One more breath. Good, and then we're going to come on back. We're going to bring ourselves on back to our hands making a pillow. Head down, bend your knees again, and let your lower legs come from side to side if you can, like windshield wiper blades. Good. And then come on back again. We're going to come onto our forearms again, but this time, clasp your hands, bend your knees, and get yourself up into a little half forearm plank if you can. And then start to pull yourself towards the front of your mat. So you're on the flesh above your knees, and you're not letting yourself drop into your belly, right? You're really reaching your sitting bones down towards the backs of your knees. So there's not this compression in the low back, and instead you're very engaged. That's why this is a core pose, because it's your belly and your low back and your hips really working. So just stay here for a breath. Keep pulling yourself towards the front of the mat so you can really feel that engagement. One more breath. Good. And then come down again. Bring your head back down onto your hands for a pillow. Once you get there, bend your right knee and flex your right foot. And just use your leg muscles to pull the heel in towards your buttocks. So keep your head down and just do that for a breath. And then stretch that leg back long, and let's do the left leg. So bend the left knee and just feel like you're just pulling that heel in, using your muscles. Feel your thigh. Good, and then bring that foot back down again. And let's come up with our head a little bit up off our hands, just a little bit, right? Just so you're just up a little bit off, so you're not resting your head on your hands. And bend your right knee again. Now, I know some of you like to reach back and get hold of the top of your foot for a half bow. You don't have to. You can be in a half bow with your hands down. You can, if you want, go up a little higher with your forearm giving you support there and come into more of a back bend in a half bow. That's totally up to you. And then we're going to come back down with the hand, back down with the foot, and then bend the left knee. Lift your head a little off your hands. That's a half bow. You're engaging your back body right here. And if you do want to reach back with your hand, you can push the foot into your hand. Sometimes that enables you to want to go up higher with your body. And totally optional. Don't do it. If it's too much, don't do it at all. And then we're going to come down. We're going to bring our arms down alongside us now. Turn your palms down towards the ground. And on your next inhale, float yourself up into a little locust pose. So it doesn't mean you have to be high, right? You can lift your head, lift your feet up, lift your hands up, reach your fingertips and your toes back towards the foot of your mat if you can. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to release down, and we're going to shift back towards child's pose from here. So you know, not everybody's knees want you to bend them deeply. You can stay up with your hips and let yourself release just a little bit back. Let your chest kind of melt down. That might be the best release for you. Or you might like to feel the hips coming back further towards your heels. That's all in your knees, right? You just want to be really mindful. Some people like their knees a little wider apart. Some people like them a little closer together. So, you know, that is something you just have to kind of try and see what works best. And every day is a new day, so one day might feel different than the other, and you might need to adjust every single day, which we all do for everything. So just breathe into your low back. Good. One more breath. And we are going to bring our hands back to help us so we can come up to sitting. So you do however you need to get around with your legs, of course. Grab a blanket too if you need to sit up on a blanket, because we're going to do a couple little twists here, so maybe you feel better to be up on a blanket. And once you kind of get situated, let your left leg come long and see if you can send it just a little more towards the midline, right? It's just not directly forward of your hip. It's maybe an inch or two over, so that it's easier to cross your foot, your right foot, over to the outside. Now you can go up higher if you want, or you can stay down lower. Either one, it doesn't matter. But think about this long leg. Feel the heel of the left foot on the ground. Draw it back towards you a little bit and kind of push into the ball of your foot. So now that whole leg is engaged, the back and the front of it both. Sit up nice and tall here. Inhale. And on your exhale, bring your right hand on around and come on around into twist. Now you can put your left hand on your knee. If your foot is at a place where you can bring your arm all the way across to the outside of that knee, you can, if that feels good in your left shoulder. Right? Some people don't like that, some people do. So just let yourself enjoy. Just watch your breath. Don't force anything. In other words, once you get into the twist, don't force, just watch your breath in and out. One more breath here. And now stay in your twist, but turn your head back to look forward, or like over towards your left shoulder even a little bit. And then if you want to look down a little bit towards the ground too, as long as that feels okay for your neck. You don't have to. You know, just be mindful. Let it feel easy. And then bringing the head back up, we're going to bring back everything around into center. So you just unwind, and there you are, sitting tall again. And all we're going to do is switch our legs. So again, this long right leg comes just a little more to the midline so that it's easier to cross over. If you can't cross over, don't. If you need to keep to the inside of the leg, do. And then sit up nice and tall. Let yourself find that length upward so that when you do bring your left hand around, it's easy, right? It's just easy. You just come into that twist. You let your hands, your arms do what you want. If you're like, well, I like that shoulder thing, but I need my foot lower, then you can do that. And then again, just let the pose do the work for you. Just once you get into it, just let your breath easily come in and go out. And now staying in your twist. Remember, when you start to turn your head back, letting yourself turn to look over your right shoulder and then maybe down a little bit. That's up to you and your neck. Just be mindful. Let yourself realize that you have the twist in the middle of the back, and now when you bring your head back around, what you're doing up there in your cervical spine. Good. One more breath. And now as you start to unwind, you bring yourself back around. Your head just comes right to look forward too. And we're going to stretch our legs on out. Shake out a little bit. Move through your feet if you need to. And now let's just bring our hands behind us. You can stay up on fingertips if you'd rather. Letting your chest come forward, your shoulders come back. If you want to lean back onto your hands, do. Just open through the chest here now. Let yourself just enjoy. It's like there's that string attached to your sternum and someone's drawing it forward and up. that little abdominal work where you stay on the block and you have your leg lifts going on. You might decide you'd like to stretch your legs long on the floor while you're on the block to open more in the front of the hip, which I was kind of focusing a lot on today. So just take your time and enjoy whatever your body is kind of feeling good to do, right? Just remember, you never want to feel bridge pose in your back or feel your thighs. Finish off, let yourself come down whenever you're ready from your bridge. And once you're there, let your right knee come in towards your chest. Extend your left leg long again. And now bring your arms out into a T position on the floor and start to let the knee come over towards the left. The right knee is going to come across into a twist. Now, you may just want to go a little ways and let the leg kind of just hang there. You may decide you want to stretch the leg out a little bit as it comes over to the side. You know, some of you might want to put the foot on the floor, right? So that you're just letting yourself come into a twist there. Some of you might want to put the right foot on the inside of your left leg somewhere, either below or above the knee, or, you know, maybe it'll feel good from there to put it on the floor too. Just be mindful. Just feel where you're feeling the twist, and if it doesn't feel good, change where you have your foot. One more breath. And then come on back with the right foot to the floor. Bring your left knee into your chest. Kind of shift your hips to straighten your spine out. And then extend your right leg down long. So your left knee's in, and as it comes across into that twist, again, it's up to you where you want to go with that. The foot can come to the inside of the leg. It can come over to a block. It can come to the floor. You can stretch the leg it longer if you want to. But think of your left shoulder staying on the ground pretty much, right? You might even want to roll your head to look left. That depends on you too. Good. And when you start to unwind back into center, bring yourself into straightening your spine out first. And then when you're ready, bring your knees on in. If you like Happy Baby, you can send your feet on up for a Happy Baby pose. Or maybe you prefer to let the soles of the feet come towards each other, open your hips that way, and let the back release that way. Start to listen to your own body. You know, there could be any number of things that sound really good to you right now. So just let the body kind of automatically go where it needs. Take your time. Boy, it is cold on the floor, I know that. So if I'm going to start to get lights and head around, if you really think a blanket would be helpful today, please let me know. I know I'm a little more cold-natured, however, than some of you guys, so you probably, some of you are going, oh my gosh, the ground feels great. It's not cold at all. So you know I have all these bolsters and all of the blankets and the bolsters of all sizes that can be helpful. Let me hit the lights, and I have an inkling about a few of you, so I will start to head around. Wave at me if you bolster sounds good. Wave at me. Little. I see you did.
Okay.
I'm learning your sign language. You're getting really good at it. Might work this. Might work these. Up to you. So I'm still on the go. Let me know. Something sounds good. Support, especially once you lie down, you might feel fine, and then you might go, not quite so fine. So just accept your breaths in and out. Nothing you need to do in order to breathe. It's going to happen. And if you just watch the breath, you'll notice it gets quieter. And our bodies do respond to breath. So as you keep coming back to your breath and start to relax, just trust that your body will know what to do to get what you need from all we just did. And you're just finding those little quiet places so that the brain becomes a little quieter. And just allow yourself to completely and fully relax.